stopped up by the big redwood trees, and we are standing under a chandelier tree. This is right before we arrived at Mattole for our first night. This would be Saturday night. Here we are at Mattole. Saturday night, we just arrived. We're ready to unload our stuff off the car and set up our site, ready to take off Sunday morning. Here's a little R&R before we take off tomorrow morning. You can see our small tents. Here's a map of our first 3 days of hiking. It's approximately 25 miles. We went from Mattole to Shelter Cove. It's Sunday morning and we feel fresh and we're ready to go. We're walking through the sand. Here's some pretty ocean life that we saw along the way. Here are two tough hikers. The reason I took this picture is because the ground is called terra firma. After walking in the sand, it feels so nice to walk on something rigid. Here's some old houses that we found along the way. It looks like some people still live in them. Here is Punta Gorda Lighthouse. It was pretty fun to get up there and look out over the views. As you can see, the views are quite nice. Here's some pictures of a real couple of studs and one of the Girl Scouts. There were quite a few up and downs along this trail, and you can see the cliffs to the right-hand side. Here was a typical stream of water that would come down off the mountain and run out to the ocean. We'd always have to cross over these little streams. It's lunchtime. It sure feels good to take the pack off your back and just sit in the sun. You didn't feel like starting up again. This was our first official night of camping. Those bear canisters come in handy as a chair. We had to worry about where to put our tents because those trees just drip with water all night long. Here comes the fog. We saw lots of fog and it always felt wet all the time. It looks dry in this picture, but it really is not. You can see the fog starting to come down the mountaintop. This was one of our best stops. This was called Big Flat, and it's about 80 degrees and it felt very warm. One of the few times where we really felt warm. We were going to go now take a bath and just relax. We arrived about 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so we had lots of free time. I told you we had lots of free time. It felt so good just to make up a little shade and kick back. Here's modest Jeremy getting all cleaned. We had to be careful not to drink the water downstream. The next morning we got up early because we had to get to Shelter Cove before 2 p.m. to be picked up for our ride. Unfortunately, we ran into a high tide and we could not get around this one rock because the water was too high. So we sat there till 10 a.m. in the morning with nothing to do. This is the corner that we're trying to get around where the water was up against the rocks. We're just waiting for the tide to go down. We made it to Shelter Cove. Unfortunately, we made it there an hour later than we were supposed to, and the person that was supposed to pick us up, Roxanne, did not show up. We were able to talk another person into driving us up to the Dallas campground. Here's all our food that we had prepared earlier for them to take up to the campground. You can see Roxanne's name is on there. Unfortunately, she was nowhere to be found. We finally got to our campsite, but the mosquitoes were thick, and we were very tired and hungry. Adrian was very tired and the mosquitoes were biting her, and she was going to climb into her tent and start crying. It's now Wednesday morning, and we're now ready to proceed to the next 25 to 30 miles till we get to Usal Beach at the end of our trip. The second half of the trip is going to be much more into the hills and the thick forest as opposed to walking on the beach. I told you it was forest. Here we are getting some water. Their backs are hunched over from too much weight. Here's the ranger station. It was nice to sit on the grass and just relax for a little while. One of the campers' feet hurt so bad that the father and the son departed from us here, and they got a ride back to Mathil to pick up their car. Here's some neat pictures of elk that we saw along the trail. They looked a little scary because they had such big horns, and if they decided to come after us, we'd be in big trouble. Here we are at Bear Harbor Campground. Again, it looks dry, but it's not very dry at all. It's quite wet. They told us if you had to go number 2, you had to walk out to the edge of the water and dig a hole in the sand and take a dump and let the water wash it away. Ha ha ha. There's the nurse fixing her toes. The Boy Scouts sure were good. They climbed very fast and always were ahead of the adults. Sometimes when we were walking, it felt like we were in a big rainforest. Here is Jackass Cove. It's Thursday night, and we're pretty tired by this time. We did not have a lot of food, and the food was pretty boring. And it was also getting very old being wet all the time. Here's the group huddled around the campfire at Jackass Cove. Here's Big Adam doing his thing. Here's Adrian showing off the worst bathroom probably on the West Coast. This is a picture of Usal Beach. We were close to getting to the end of the trip. Here's the last night. Everybody's enjoying themselves around a campfire, except for Michael and I. We had to drive 400 miles to go get our car and return back to the campsite. We didn't get there till 11 o'clock at night. We were beat.